Hey everybody, I'm Rhinocio, and I'm back with another doll customization. So this is a Monster High, I want to say Elizabeth doll. It might be a Draculara. Honestly, I have no idea. I'm not in this fandom. I just use the dolls. And we got this one from the thrift shop, so I have no packaging to tell me otherwise. So step one is to cut off the doll's hair. Honestly, it was in pretty good shape for a doll from the thrift store, and I thought about keeping it on her head, but this was one of the first dolls that I did. You can actually see Mothy's legs in the background there because we were doing a bunch at the same time, and I wanted to get the full doll customizing experience, so I wanted to reroute new hair. So anyway, I cut it off. After the hair's all cut off, you want to heat up her head so you can pop it off her body. We use a hairdryer. And once you've scraped all the little hair plugs out with some pliers, you gotta wipe off her face. So you want to use 100% pure acetone, and sometimes the paint kind of gets stuck in the little corners of her face, so you give her face a squish. You squish her, you squish and squash her, you squash her and squish her spiral. Is anyone else gonna get that reference? No, just me? Okay, fine. The face up was so difficult. And to be fair, this was like only my first time. I was working on a bunch of doll faces at the same time, so I was learning a lot of things at the same time. So I started pretty strong, using soft pastels like around her eyes and her cheeks, her lips, the sides of her nose, her forehead, and under her chin, don't forget that part. And then like blushing her ears a little bit at the tips because it's cute. And that was all going nice and smooth. I did find after the first 2 or 3 layers that her blush was a little heavy and a little bit chunky and square, but I was like, oh, that's okay, I can deal with that, I'm learning, it's fine. But I was also having the worst time getting color on her face. The pastels were fine, but using the watercolor pencils, I just couldn't get the pigment on her face, and I figured it was a sealant issue. I've since sort of figured it out, but at the time, I wasn't spraying enough sealant on the doll faces. I was trying to conserve too much of it. And also, I'm in a cooler climate, and it was the middle of like March when I started these. Basically, I just wasn't getting enough MSC on her face to create that gritty texture that would pull the pigment from the pencils onto the plastic.
Oh, that was like a cute little alliteration. Look at me go.
But yeah, you can actually see me like scrubbing this brown pencil trying to get the color on her eyes. It just wasn't working. Originally, I tried to use white gesso on her eyes. That was really lumpy, it was really bad. I decided I was going to wipe her eyes off and give them another shot. So then when I tried to build back up the color where I had erased things, it was very clear that there had been a deviation in the sealant layers, so I wiped off her face and I decided I was going to try again from scratch, and the whole thing is stained. For my third try, I was like, let's use some watered down white acrylic paint. There were problems. The watery paint just sort of pooled in the corners of her eyes. The colored pencils didn't work on top of the paint. It just would scrape them off, even with the layer of sealant in between. By this point, I had pretty much forgotten what the OG colors were that I'd painted on her, and I was too frustrated to check. So now she got purple eyes. I thought maybe I should stop touching the doll with my oily fingers, so now I use a little fan brush to brush off all the eraser bits. Brushy, 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 brushy. Once I'd finally started getting her face up to work, I decided to put some mineral makeup on her cheeks for a subtle shimmer. I use mineral makeup specifically because there are no oils in it. I get all of my makeup from this Etsy store called Opalescence that's, I think, based in Quebec. And I checked their ingredients, and the only oily, waxy thing they had in their products was carnauba wax, which turns out is totally okay on the PVC heads of Monster High bodies. Bee was in charge of doing this doll's hair, and she made it out of brushed out yarn wefts. So same idea as when we did Moffy's hair. Basically, you unwind a whole bunch of acrylic yarn to make long strands, but in this case, you tie them off to something and then brush them out with a pet brush. You end up losing a lot of the yarn in the brushing, and this doll's came out kind of uneven initially, which is why Bee put it into a braid. But then we realized the braid was kind of poofy and she didn't like it as much afterwards, so we decided to switch it up, and she gave her this really pretty long hairstyle. Sitting in the braid during the third and fourth face-ups actually gave the hair this nice sort of wave to it. So then all Bee did to kind of straighten it out was use a hot knife to push down the top of her hair and make it lay a little flatter. The clothes are absolutely adorable and made by Bee. The sweater she made out of an old t-shirt, so it's got that heathered look and it's really stretchy. You gotta put it on feet first because otherwise her arms are super awkward and her head's gonna get in the way when that's back on. The pants are made of an old pleather skirt that I'm really sad that Bee cut up because it looks stunning on her. But alas, she loves the doll too much. The little hook closure in the back was actually made by Bee out of paper clips. She just decided one day she wanted to make these little things. I leave her alone for 5 minutes. The shoes were just Monster High presets that we had, but later on we jazzied them up a little bit, gave them some orange laces, and put these adorable little homemade bows on the back. And then there was just a couple of little touches to kind of tie the color scheme together, like these little nails. Bee also made this most precious little bear snuggle toy from scratch. She made it all by herself. It's so ugly cute, I adore it. And for most of her construction, we were just calling her Snuggle Girl, but everyone meets Sophie. Thanks for watching. As per always, please leave a like or a comment or something to let me know you're out there if you liked the video, and feel free to subscribe if you want to hang out and see more of this kind of stuff in the future. Thanks everybody, bye!